I really don't get it how folks are jumping on this phone in their reviews. It's kind of driving me crazy. Hey there, this episode of Some Gadget Guy is brought to you by viewers like you. All of the incredible people sharing content and the generosity of my patrons at patreon.com/SomeGadgetGuy. More info on those awesome nerds later in the video. This is not a review. I bought the Pixel 10 Pro XL. I'm a week into using it, and I'm genuinely not sure who this phone is really for. This video is going to be a starting point and also where I express some of my tech influencer frustration. We're about to do a rant, y'all, so if you're not in for that, it's totally okay if you skip this video. Just like how I'm always supremely disappointed in the influencers who will pick up a OnePlus during embargo, review this in an unfinished state with pre-release software, and how few of those folks will actually practically revisit this phone after it's gotten some updates. After the phone is polished up in a state that consumers will really live with it. Shameless plug, I did a follow-up on the OnePlus 13. Link to that video down in the description. It probably popped up on screen somewhere. And if you would like to see more coverage like that, how phones really perform when they have software consumers will actually interact with, you need to share videos like that instead of picking fights with rage baiters on threads. Oh, but Android users, why not switch to iPhone? Is it because you are poor? So many of y'all are falling for really obvious bait, but I digress. My early experiences with the Pixel 10 Pro have been kind of shocking in how disappointed I am with this phone out of its pathetically lean unboxing. But you see, I don't like calling first week videos of a OnePlus a review, and I'm not gonna do that here either, just because I'm pretty sure this phone isn't gonna be for me. I'm kinda rocked by all the people that came out ready with day one reviews. That is horrifically irresponsible. This phone is not ready for a review. We need to see some updates, and there's a lot here that needs to be optimized. This early consumer experience is pretty bad, but I do not believe this will be the experience consumers will have to live with a couple updates in. I think it's gonna get better, but it's so rough now. I have to believe that Google will clean this up. I cannot believe that 15 years into supporting first-party phones sold directly by Google, that Google is this bad at making a phone. Which means if I put out a video now and I call it a review just because the topic is still near the high point of popularity right now, I'm doing a disservice to the phone, I'm being disingenuous with my audience, all to improve my ability to make money on my tech videos. Either that or I have to glaze, like a fire hose glaze, over some really poor performance, and I have to try to hoop jump through stupid arguments like, hey, fellow techies, if you're looking at a $1,300 phone, who even cares about battery life and charging speeds and older camera sensors and CPU and GPU performance and storage speeds and slow AI processing and the absolute worst Wi-Fi and 5G reception I've tested on a phone above $1,000? Isn't it just about the vibes? Isn't that all you care about when you spend $1,300 on a phone? Don't judge a phone by the specs. Been seeing a lot of that on social media too. Oh, you can't judge a phone by its specs on paper. I'm gonna break this down as a place to start. I'm already angry, but I'm super curious about competition in the silicon space. I had to get this to test Tensor 5. But the time it takes to do this work will never be covered by the money we make on YouTube now and how brutal YouTube's algorithms are in separating creators from their audiences, even if you smash that bell icon. So you gotta put up with the plug. If you want to see work like this and support it, the best way I found currently is on Patreon. Patreon.com/SomeGadgetGuy. You'll actually get alerts when I put out new stuff. You'll get behind the scenes, production diaries, you'll get my videos in 4K, and like this Pixel, you'll get to see all the bar graphs from the work I do in testing phones with real world apps. Patreon.com/SomeGadgetGuy. And I totally get it. Money can be a little tight. If you want to kick me a buck and just catch up once a year, you'd still have access to all of my archives. Or if even that's just a bridge too far, if you want to know that this work is still getting done because it's still a part of the public commentary that I put out there, main thing we got to do is fight algorithms and make sure this content is getting shared. But I've certainly digressed again. None of that was in my script. The performance. The Pixel 10 Pro is a nice improvement over the 9 Pro for CPU-bound tasks. But the chip design here is likely always going to fall behind last year's MediaTek and this year's Qualcomm. Next generation MediaTek and Qualcomm is right around the corner. We're going to start hearing about those chips in a couple months. So even in its most improved category, a Pixel owner is starting roughly a year or two behind in many of these performance comparison situations. Hold on to a phone for multiple years, and that means we'll have less room to grow and use any apps that get more demanding. And I'm not breaking any news here. The GPU situation is currently tragic. It's real bad. Pixels have never been the bestest at gaming, but this is a wild regression over the Pixel 9 Pro. I'm hoping the near future of mobile gaming will be moving more folks over to PC emulation. If we can't get better native Android games, let's just play our PC games on our mobile pocket computers. I just did a video comparing MediaTek and Qualcomm performance while playing PC games and getting kind of deep in, not just games like Dead Cells, Hades, and Cuphead, but also Crysis Remastered and Tomb Raider. Our phones can emulate a PC and play Crysis on top of that emulation, unless you have a $1,300 Pixel 10 Pro. Then you can't launch anything. So frustrating, because we recently saw improved emulation support for the GPU in the Pixel 9 Pro, but that's not what's in the 10 Pro. I have more thoughts on this in my Patreon benchmark article and how this phone has performed with native Android games, but I'm sure you can predict what some of my broad conclusions might be. Another critical area of a data-connected mobile pocket computer: how well does it connect to networks? We knew this wasn't gonna be awesome. It's still a Samsung radio in here, but currently, in my neighborhood testing out here in the suburbs, it's not just falling behind MediaTek and Qualcomm radios, it's still struggling to catch the 9 Pro. But as a baseline, so we can track this, I'm trying to link up with T-Mobile towers out here against my OnePlus 13. I'm seeing a spread between 10 and 16 decibels at its best. If I take the worst reception I found on the OnePlus against the best reception I found on the Pixel, it's still a 10 decibel, a significant downgrade in connection. And the OnePlus 13 is not a $1,300 phone. It's those kinds of performance metrics and specs that contribute to the user experience, improving data speeds and improving battery life. You cannot hand wave away that kind of performance, especially not when you're trying to convince everyone that we need to take our AI up to the cloud over the 5G. I mean, but do specs even matter anymore? I mean, don't judge a phone by the specs. The background performance has been problematic. Camera processing has been very disappointing. I shot roughly 90 seconds of 4K video at 60 frames per second, spread across 3 small clips in early morning light, which is about 75 degrees out here in Southern California. The screen dimmed on the second clip, and the frame rate was reduced on the third clip. And before you ask, I was shooting those samples while the phone was in airplane mode, so the inefficient modem wasn't even in use. My first sample shots to test the phone are running the phone crazy hard, processing that photo info in the background. The phone gets so bogged down after a handful of shots that I'm seeing UI errors, rotating to landscape, has to completely reanimate, and these photos take a while to process. It is cool that AI zoom happens on device, but don't expect that to happen quickly, which also makes it so stupid that Magic Eraser needs an active data connection. I can take a photo of a mural and the AI will try to include realistic looking flowers instead of painted simple cartoon flowers. But I can't erase a trash can without a data connection. Cool. Real cool. Cool, cool, cool. Google seems really desperate to talk about phones like we're in a post-performance phone era. Aren't all these phones the same these days? But this phone can't do a lot of things. I don't shoot 8K, but Google should still be ashamed that 8K can't be finished on the Pixel, and it has to take up more space in your Google Drive, so you buy more cloud. Excuse me, you have to lease more cloud storage. Money that goes into a service that once you stop paying for it, it just disappears on you. But using this phone in its current state, it makes sense why Google is pushing that narrative so hard. It's kind of a win-win for them. If you can use marketing and advertising to convince consumers that, this is about as good as on-device performance can get, maybe you can also convince more consumers to move more services to cloud AI and get them to pay for more expensive cloud storage plans. This is incredibly cynical. We here at Google are incapable of delivering hardware that really can compete with the competition, but we still want to charge you more than a lot of the competition. We deserve to have iPhone prices here, and we want you on the hook for AI subscriptions, so you'll pay us even more monthly to use the phone we built that can't do things on device like the competitors can. And even for how frustrated I am, this is not a review. I do not have a purchasing recommendation for you. I don't know who this phone is for. And right now, I think most folks would be better served by shifting down to the Pixel 10 non-Pro if you really want that Pixel experience. But I can't come to any conclusion until we see some updates. Now, I wholly expect that in a month or two, we're going to see headlines about, Google sends out a massive performance update, just like we did with the Pixel 9 Pro, which didn't really deliver any astounding performance uplift. The Pixel 7 Pro was still able to hang with the Pixel 9 Pro in a lot of real-world situations. The Pixel 9 got better, yeah, but not like these headlines were trying to make it sound so impressive. And how do I know that? Because I actually retested the Pixel 9 Pro with real-world apps. You might have seen my work covered on Notebook Check, where they take that kind of performance testing pretty seriously. But I want you to think about right now. Don't let your memory go goldfish short. I want you to remember who's glowing on the phone today and who's slamming the phone right now. Are either of those camps really going to follow this up? If the performance is fine for a reviewer today and they're over the specs on paper, why would it matter if the phone performs better in a month? Wasn't the performance fine? Or are they just trying to appeal to a base of Pixel fans? They get to say nice things about the phone either way. If someone panned the phone today, how can they show you performance differences after an update? Will they even bother to retest the phone after some updates? Do they even have consistent tests that aren't just Geekbench and Antutu? Do you see how stupid it is to call something a review in this first week? The full version of Android 16 likely won't arrive until closer to the holidays. This phone is incomplete. Oh, but man, I'm looking at the trending topic data, and if I search for Pixel 10 Pro, the downslope is already there. It's already losing interest. I mean, if you're just putting out content today, you can't hope to make as much money on your work as someone who was handpicked by Google to get early access to this phone and launch a video day one under embargo. There certainly isn't any financial incentive to get that final word review out at the peak of the search interest, right? Google certainly wouldn't be trying to cultivate the same relationships with the reviewers that Apple leverages. Yeah? No, perish the thought. It's not about making money on these videos. It's just about the vibes on a new phone, right? I guess. So that's where we're at. My hypothesis is very few people should buy the Pixel Pros. And I'll be testing that hypothesis harder when Google gives us the full phone we actually paid for. I spent $1,300 on an early access preview of the Pixel 10 Pro XL, and I'm pretty pissed off about it. I'm disappointed, but I still want to do this right. So stay tuned. Probably more cranky rants in the future to come. And of course, the people who get to see my cranky rants first are my incredible patrons. All of the people over on patreon.com/SomeGadgetGuy. This list of names scrolling by on your screen right now. A huge thank you from the bottom of my heart, because YouTube ain't getting the job done. These people are directly helping us keep the lights on here in the Gadget Lab, and they're basically the coolest tech pals in the universe. So I hope you'll check them out. I hope you'll consider joining the community at patreon.com/SomeGadgetGuy. Now, you know where you can find me across the rest of the internet, at SomeGadgetGuy, basically everywhere, but these days, I'm trying to spend a bit more time on the Mastodons, maybe a little on the Blueskis, and a lot less so on the Threads, the Facebooks, the Instagrams, all those places where people just bait you into sharing their terrible hot takes about technology. Oh, you should use an iPhone unless you're poor. And of course, none at all on that dumpster fire site. But I will catch you all on the next video, which may or may not be a review.